This is the Pro and Con Show for Wednesday, June 26, 2019. And I'm your host, Michael James Ott. Welcome to the show once again. So we got a lot to cover today, and so just a few words about schedule. So I apologize. I'm actually doing this show live on Facebook at 10:44 a.m. Central Time on Thursday, the 27th. Had some family things with my wife yesterday. We had basically a date night kind of thing, and I also wanted to see the first Democratic Party debate with the 10 candidates, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But so there's a lot to cover today. Oh, and going back to the schedule. So I am volunteering with the local office of St. Jude again today. So they have an event, a fundraising event, and I'll be volunteering there all afternoon and evening. So I won't be doing a live show tonight. That would be Thursday, June 27th. That will not be a live show. I will do a Friday morning, June 28th show to make up for it. And then a Friday evening, June 28th show for Friday. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. This is like TiVo, right? So these videos you can watch at any time. You can watch them live. You can watch them whenever that's good for you to do. So let's talk about the news. So it was interesting to me. The first thing that I was wondering is this first debate, Democratic debate, was on last night with the 10 candidates. And apologize, we're having a bit of a thunderstorm. So if you hear some booming in the background, that's what that is. And so looking at the Huffington Post, as I say, I look through like left-leaning centrist and then right-leaning. So left-leaning HuffPost, their headline is "Right-Wing Supremes Uphold District Rigging." So one of the things I want to say about that is, so if you read this, and I think CNN has that as one of their significant headlines. But the beginning of the opinion by Judge Roberts, Justice Roberts, who wrote the opinion for the majority, basically says that this setting of districts is very much a political process, and that the Constitution of the United States doesn't really talk about political parties in any way, shape, or form, and I imagine that's actually a surprise for some of you, because the political parties are so deeply ingrained in our system. That I imagine most people believe that they're somehow part of our governance structure, but they aren't. Or at least they're not supposed to be. And in fact, George Washington, toward the end of his tenure as president, one of the reasons why he was absolutely adamant that he was not going to continue is he saw the rise of these first political parties and the bickering and stuff, the power play kind of things that were going on even back then, even at the start of all this, and he wanted no part of it. And so he's like, I'm going back to Mount Vernon, boys. See you later. And this is one of and you're going to hear me, if you go back and look at my old videos or watch future videos, you're going to hear me say this over and over and over and over and over and over and over. It's a broken record kind of thing. The political parties are really hurtful to the Democratic Party, or to the democratic process. I'm sorry, that was a misspeak there. The political parties are a detriment to the democratic process, especially given the modern era, where we have communication methods like this, and we could have a much better communication method in regards to election and politics. And I've talked about in the past. I'm not going to go into that today because we got a lot of other things to talk about. So Right now, we have these two major political parties, and they fight back and forth for power. And the vast majority of us are, puppets under that scheme. And, they're fighting over redistricting because they want to influence who gets elected and where. And if that sounds right to you, okay, you're in the right place. It's not right to me. I'm sorry. But the justices, even a 5-4 vote, I'm surprised actually it wasn't 9-0, because quite honestly, there is nothing in the Constitution about this, and it's up to us to fix it. If you think it's broken, I personally think it's broken. I think it's broken. I know it's broken. Whether or not you agree with me, I hope that hundreds of millions of Americans do, and we're ready to step beyond this. But that's up to you. That's you have the free will, so and the freedom in this country to believe as you'll believe. But anyway, so that was one of the things in Huffington Post. That's the main headline, not the Democratic debate last night. CNN has the Supreme Court blocking the census question, the citizen question on the census. That's one of the major things, and winners and losers from the Democratic debate. That's another major headline for them. So, okay, NPR. Again, Supreme Court leaves the citizenship question blocked. So the lower court blocked it. They're basically saying this is within the realm of the lower courts. We don't want to talk about it. Basically saying that blocking this question about citizenship is fine with them. But here's so the NPR has their second story is Supreme Court rules partisan gerrymandering is beyond the reach of federal courts. And I do want to, they had a nice, just a very nice quote here. So here's just a little bit of Chief Justice Roberts' writing. So he said, "We conclude that partisan gerrymandering claims present political questions beyond the reach of the federal courts. Federal judges have no license to reallocate political power between the two major political parties, with no plausible grant of authority in the Constitution and no legal standards to limit or direct their decisions." And I know that 4 justices, the more liberal ones, sided against this, but every single word that he just said is absolutely true. This is not, if it's going to get resolved, if you think it's a problem, I personally think it's a tremendous problem. If you think it's a problem, it's not going to get fixed until we amend the Constitution. And again, that goes back to all the election reform kind of stuff. Go on to Fox News. There's a bunch of, the main story is they're critical of having Rachel Maddow, who is known as a liberal host, a liberal-leaning person. People are saying that that's inappropriate to have her host one of these debates. And then Breitbart calls it, of course, with their love of rhetoric, NBC's debate disaster. Chuck Todd speaks more words than 7 of the candidates. So yeah, he had these lengthy, and the other thing, and we're going to talk about the debate here. This is actually a fairly good lead-in. I encourage you, if you didn't watch it last night, watch it. Okay, it was an hour long, I think, maybe an hour and a half. Watch it. This is the democratic process, ongoing. And given that Mr. Trump is, a proven con artist, con man. He needs to be replaced unless we can't find anybody better. Okay, so, and I give you, you may say none of these, in your mind, none of these candidates are better than Mr. Trump, but if, being that he is a con artist, a confidence man, he should be replaced unless we can't find a better person. And so the Democratic Party, again, the two-party process here, that's what we have. So the Democrats now are bringing forward now, admittedly, many different candidates, and we'll speak to that a little bit. But it was, some of the introductions of the questions were very long, very wordy, and a little bit strange about why they were so. Anyway, so enough about that. So let's go right into the debate itself. I'm going to show you the names of the Democratic candidates that were in the debate yesterday, and of course you can look them up. And again, I can't emphasize strongly enough. I'm absolutely a strong advocate. Take the extra time. Take the extra time. I beg you, as citizens of this country, take the extra time to look into some of this information. These debates are only like an hour long, especially if you were to DVR it or whatever. You could fast forward through parts and see the answers and that kind of stuff. Anyway, watching last night's debate, which had 10 different candidates, and so here now I'm going to tell you my opinion. So it's not who, what, where, when. These 10 people debated last night, and you should watch that debate. I beg you, watch that debate. I beg you to read the Mueller report. It's not that hard. It's 440 pages, but it's mostly blank and redacted. You can whip right through it. It's big print, double space. It's not that hard. Read it. Read it. And I guess Mr. Mueller is going to testify on television now in front of Congress in the month of July, mid-July sometime. But going back to the debate, so when I watched the debate, and again, please watch it yourselves, I thought going in, I thought that Cory Booker would do well. I thought that Amy Klobuchar would do well. I thought that Elizabeth Warren would do well. And that was kind of it. And then there was a surprise to me because another fellow, Julian Castro, I think he was a cabinet secretary under Obama at one point, and I think he was mayor of San Antonio. There's a lot of candidates, so fact check me. I think he was mayor of San Antonio for a while, and then he was a cabinet secretary underneath Mr. Obama. But he had some pretty good stage presence. And so when I look at them, just a few comments about them. So Cory Booker, every time I've seen him, which very limited times, I don't pretend to say that I've watched him speak thousands of times or anything. It's been 3 or 4 times. But every time that he has spoken, he has a presence. There's a presence to the man. And he seems logical and reasoned, and he's committed to helping the common man. He lives in a pretty tough area, pretty tough neighborhood. Intentionally does that because he's like, I want to make sure I'm with the people in the neighborhoods where the people suffer the most. So that's Cory Booker. Julian Castro is. One of his main focuses is immigration. His family is from Mexico, and he's got a lot of family history there. And, so this immigration issue, of course, is very important to him. And it's actually important to all of us. So I don't want to infer that that's not an appropriate thing to be, have a high level of concern over and try to do something with. Elizabeth Warren, she has been climbing in the polls. I've mentioned this in some of the last shows. She's been climbing in the polls, and she is just, you almost imagine her like a Khrushchev, taking her shoe off and beating it on the podium, and it's all over, big money, corporations, credit cards, insurance companies. They're taking all the wealth, and that's going to the elite few in those corporations, and it's not going to the workers, and on and on and on. And so she's been an adamant person about that. She was a school teacher at one time, and then she got into politics. People kind of asked her to get into politics because she was so adamant about some of these issues about trying to fix financial inequality. And she did a good job last night. And she was kind of one of the highest polling people. I think she was actually by far in this debate, in this first group of 10. And then Amy Klobuchar is the last one. And she's from our neighboring state here. I'm in Hudson, Wisconsin. She's just across the border over in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. And Amy Klobuchar she is kind of a moderate or centrist. And she, other than Joe Biden, who Biden has been in the political spectrum for 40 years or something, Ms. Klobuchar has only been senator for, I don't know, it's 10 years or less. Again, fact check me, but it's something like that. But anyway, she has a pretty substantial legislative record over that period of time. And in the debate last night, she said, I do these things because I listen. I listen to what the people want, and then I fight hard for them and negotiate to get the legislation that the people need. And so I've sponsored and actually gotten written in the law, whatever it is. I think she said like 100 laws or something, that's a lot. I want to say that that's what she said. Again, check me. I'm just going off of memory. So the other candidates that spoke, and again, please watch the video or watch the debate yourself. They did, actually they did pretty well. They had highs and lows, and frankly, all of them, almost all of them, I thought were stronger candidates from the standpoint of being more appealing to people who really hated Hillary Clinton. The Clintons, Hillary Clinton, the Clintons had a murky background. That's a great word. It was a murky background, and there was a lot of people that didn't like that aspect of them. And that caused them to really think about whether Donald Trump was a reasonable alternative. And whereas these people, the vast majority of them, I think they have public records and private records that, at least as far as we know so far, are mostly blemish-free. Some minor things, but. Anyway, I can see why any one of these candidates would be a preferred candidate over Mr. Trump, who is an acknowledged confidence man. So, Anyway, that's all I really want to say about the debate. I enjoyed watching it. Actually, I was amazed. I will say a couple more words about it. I was amazed that it actually went as smoothly as it did. There was a hitch in the middle with some audio problems. And like I say, some of the hosts, their questions were pretty darn lengthy and elaborate. But on the whole, given that they had 10 people on the stage, and they were trying to elicit answers from many of them on each question, yeah, it was not too bad. People were actually able to express some significant information in just 60 seconds with 30 and 10-second rebuttal kinds of things going on. So it's worth watching, and I would encourage you to do that. Okay, so this is the Wednesday, June 26th show. And I'm Michael James Ott. Hope you enjoyed the show. Please watch the old shows, tune in to future ones, and until I see you again, bye for now.